Hey y'all, this is Amanda and welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden. And it is a beautiful day outside. It's going to be a high of 64. It hasn't rained in 2 days. I'm so excited. It is still a hot, muddy mess, but today we are going to be prepping this garden bed for all my brand new heirloom chrysanthemums that will be arriving in early April. Okay, so right now this bed looks like a hot mess. This is where I have typically had my hot biscuits amaranthus. I've had a lot of celosia. I have dianthus. I have lemon balm. I have all kinds of craziness in this bed. But what I really want to do is pretty much clear out every single thing in this bed, and I want it to be completely devoted to my heirloom chrysanthemums. So what I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to pull out all of these dead annuals and kind of clean up a little bit, and then I want to show you what perennials I have in this bed and what I'm going to remove and what I'm going to leave behind. Okay, so I did some good cleanup, went back and defined the edge. I do think I need to add a new edging, so I'm probably going to run to a big box store, see what's available. I'm not interested in doing any kind of fancy edging back here. It's not my budget, but this guy has been in here for 3 years. It was a super cheap option, and it's really kind of breaking down. So I think I need to deal with that. I have a yellow rose here. It is called Happy something, let me see. Happy Go Lucky. So I have a Happy Go Lucky rose, and that needs to be moved. And before I move that, I'm going to trim it back by 75%, cut it down big time, so I don't have to deal with all this. It's about time to trim my roses anyway. And you can see with our warm weather, a lot of my roses, there's another one, are already leafing out. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that one back, dig it up to move. I also have a red Sweet William right here that I'm going to dig up and move somewhere else. I have a lemon balm right here that I'm just going to dig up and get rid of. The last couple of seasons, I usually use this for a lot of greenery, and I've been struggling. It hasn't been doing well. So I'm just going to dig it up and get rid of it. I have a few daffodil bulbs that I'm going to dig up and probably utilize in an arrangement. Maybe in a spring planter. And then I do have an autumn joy sedum that I'm going to dig up and move to the front yard. So let me go ahead and get those dug up and removed. And then I think after that, I will use the hoe, and I'll go through, I'll pull up all of the drip lines and get them out of the way. And I'll use the hoe and till up the dirt really, really well. And then I'll let y'all know what the next steps are going to be after that. Let's go. Okay, so I've worked through the soil, pulled up a lot of the grass. I found some calla lily bulbs, just kind of cleaned things up a little bit to give me a better idea of the bed. Now, I believe I'm planting, it's either I think it's 7 Heirloom Chrysanthemum plants in here, which I think will fit really well with a really good amount of space around them. When they come, they're going to be really small. They're literally going to be like 4x4s. It's going to be really small. So here's my next step. I am going to, hold on, I see grass over here and I don't want to forget it. Oh, look at that. I want to get those out. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to lay down a good layer of compost onto this. And then I'm going to lay down 2 layers of weed barrier, which I know a lot of people aren't into weed barrier, but this particular bed has been a battle regarding grass, and I would like it to be easier. And I'll just lay down the 2 layers of weed barrier just down, and then I will cover with mulch. And then when the time comes to plant them, I'll move the mulch over, I'll cut an X into the weed barrier, and then I'll plant the plant in that location. But for now, I have a lot of seeds that are in here. I've got amaranth that comes back. I've got basil that comes back. I've got some liatris. And so really I need to put down the weed barrier and just help with the grass, but also help keep all of those seeds from germinating and coming up and choking out my chrysanthemum bed. So we'll do that. I'm also, while I'm at the store, I'm going to look for a new barrier, maybe some that's a little deeper. This is about 4 inches deep, and it's done its purpose for the last 4 years. It was only ever intended to be kind of semi-permanent, and so I would like to be able to change it out, see if they have a better option. I've seen some online that I thought I might check out and see what they have. Anyway, once I change out the border, lay down the compost, lay down the weed barrier. At that point, I will lay down my drip lines. I'm going to change them up a little bit as well so I can get more specific water to this bed. And then I am going to lay mulch on top of that. I've kind of been thinking about for this bed, I've kind of been thinking that I might, for the drip lines, I might just run a tube all the way across, maybe even like through the center. You know, that would work. I might just run it all the way through the center, a solid tube that has no emitters. And then based on that solid tube, once I plant my plants, I'll run a smaller 1/4 inch drip line to each individual plant so that I'm not wasting water watering the whole bed. I think I might do something like that and see how that goes, so that I'm not wasting, and then I'm just more focused water. I think might be really beneficial. This bed was chock full of worms, I'll tell you that. So many worms. I actually ended up having to put on gloves because I ran into a couple of baby snakes and I wanted to be careful. I know you guys are shocked to see me on gloves with gloves, but I'm excited. So let's get over to probably Home Depot and get the supplies that we need. Okay, so I think I'm going to try this 4-foot no-dig edging. It's made out of recycled tires. It looks like this. This is the actual color, a little bit darker. And basically, I think I'm going to keep the existing edging that I have and then layer this over the top of it just to give a more definitive stopping point. And you use big stakes to put it in. I also think, so you can see how it runs right here, if I'm putting this on top of that existing green that I have, just leaving that in place, it might be beneficial to run like some outdoor construction glue to keep any grass from going underneath this. So trying going between the green existing edging that I have and then putting this on top. So I think I'm going to also look for some construction glue to run across that. I think that might be really interesting to try and see how it does. It is $12.98 for 4 feet. So a little more expensive, but I really like the look, and I think that it could really end up working for me. So let's go ahead and try this out. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with this liquid nails, Fuse It Max. let's see, bonds almost everything, bonds in any weather, which I think is important. And it does say it bonds plastic, wood, metal, all that good stuff. Rubber, which is what the new edging is made out of, and plastic, which is what the existing is made out of. And it is interior, exterior, all purpose. So I think we're gonna try this out. Okay, so it looks like all of their drip lines are on clearance, which makes me think that they're perhaps replacing them with something else, hopefully something better that goes along with what you can get at Lowe's as opposed to Home Depot. So I'm actually gonna stock up real quick on a few items just to make sure I have them for the new spring season. So interestingly enough, my Home Depot, I don't know if they're not carrying the compost that I used to use anymore or what. So I ended up with some of the organic hummus. And so the deal with that is you just need to make sure you spread it throughout all the dirt and mix it up really well. Is heavy duty landscape fabric, and I just use landscape staples to tuck it into place. It's really easy to manipulate and shape to the size and length that you need. So to install the edging, I just ran a bead of glue on top of the existing green edging. Then I manipulated the new edging to match that and used the staples to hold it in place. It was actually super easy, very satisfying, and the whole process went very quickly. Okay, so I got the edging up. I love it, kind of obsessed with it. I'll give you a close up in a minute. Laid down the weed barrier, and then I ran a closed drip line tube all the way across, so it's not emitting any water to anywhere. So what I'll do is when I plant my plants, I will plug into this drip line and bring water directly to the base of each of the plants instead of watering the entire garden all the way across. I think that'll be more efficient for water use, and it's definitely something I would like to start switching a lot of my beds to. So last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and lay down a thick layer of mulch, and we'll have it finished up. Okay, it looks amazing. So let's take an up close look. This border is really easy to flex. And then you just use these pegs to hammer it down. And I have exterior adhesive, any temperature glue that runs all along the green. And then I put this on top, and it's a fast drying glue, and already this is super secure. And I think that's going to go a long way from preventing the grass from going in between the two of these and into the garden. Will I get rid of all grass? No, I don't ever really think that's a thing. I think grass is the worst. But I think this will go a long way to prepare this bed for all the heirloom chrysanthemums. Let me get a little far away so you can get a better look. Okay, you can see the bed from there. Now, I would really like to get some kind of pedestal with a large feature pot to sit up high right between the two windows. and maybe feature something like maybe a rose, something that's really dramatic and hangs down. Maybe dichondria, Silver Falls would be beautiful, but just some kind of gorgeous planter situation would be really great there. I'm not interested in buying that new, so I'll be looking for that on Facebook Marketplace or at garage and estate sales. But it's a lot of hard work today. I think it looks good. Okay. It went good today. This whole project took me about 3.5 hours, not including the trip to Home Depot, so definitely felt out of shape. The weeding was probably one of the hardest parts, in my opinion. Everything else was pretty easy, just time consuming, but I enjoyed the project, and I feel really good that this bed is now prepped and ready to go. It has great nutrients underneath. And then, of course, when my heirloom chrysanthemums show up, I will do a whole video on how I go about planting and fertilizing those. A lot of people ask, well, how do I fertilize if there's a weed barrier? You basically just cut an opening where your plant goes, and then anytime you fertilize at the base of the plant where that opening is. So anyway, it's pretty easy to use, and I enjoy weed barrier. I don't use it a ton, but I do enjoy it in a few places, and I think this was an important place to have it. All right, you all, as always, make sure you check me out on my YouTube community page and check me out on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.